Hello and welcome back to Insights. Great content at the speed of light. In today's episode, I want to share with you some thoughts on how to deal with conflict. As a matter of fact, what I want to do is I want to share with you 7 important thought sparklers. 7 things that if you will do these correctly, you will not only reduce your conflict, but you will improve the outcomes from those conflicts, I really believe. Let me get right to it. Number 1, don't be afraid to ask for a timeout. A lot of times the conflict begins at the worst moment. There are lots of other people around. You're dealing with other issues. That's not really the agenda item. Maybe there's no time to really get into it. Don't be afraid to say, hey, could we just sort of take a timeout on this and get back together later this afternoon, say maybe around 3:30, and we'll talk about this at length. Don't be afraid of this. Now, this is radically different from what some of us do. That is, we ask for a timeout and we never come back to it. That is a bad thing to do. But don't be afraid to ask for a little extension, a little time, and this allows people to sort of cool off and kind of regain their composure and get more focused on the issue itself. Number 2, never ask incendiary questions like, so what's wrong with you? Or what's your problem with this? Things like that are not a good idea. Calling somebody a name, calling somebody, suggesting that somebody has an ulterior motive, even though they may have an ulterior motive, is never a productive thing to do. Number 3, instead what we need to do is ask kind, open-ended questions like, can you help me understand how you feel about this? And by the way, that word feel is a good word. Don't ask people what they think, ask them how they feel. Because in reality, most of us really do most of our responding from our feelings. So let a person share their feelings. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't push it away. It's a good thing. And number 4, once the person has spoken to you, then rephrase, reframe, and restate what they've said. Did I understand you correctly to say such and such? And if the person says yes, then we're on the way to finding some common ground. Number 5, deal with only one issue at a time. It is so tempting in a point, especially if the emotions are getting revved up, it's so tempting to go back to something that happened 6 or 8 months ago and revisit that. Don't do this. Stay with the contemporary issue because going back is always going to cause more trouble than it really solves, at least in my opinion. Number 5, be aware of your presence. I call this the physicality concept. In other words, be aware of what you appear to be to other people physically. I learned about this years ago, back in the 1970s when I was in college. I recall working for a company in Nashville, the Southwestern Company, going out selling books door to door through the summer. And what I learned was that people sized me up. I mean, I could come up and knock on somebody's door, and this lady was inside the house. I might actually see her eyeball out back there through the Venetian blind looking at me. But she's not about to open the door because I'm 6'1", she's 5'3", and she doesn't know who I am. But something that really helped me was this. I learned to knock on the door and then turn completely around, walk across the porch, walk down the steps, and keep my back turned to the door until I heard her opening the door. I allowed her a moment to look at me, size me up, and then slowly I would turn back around and begin the conversation. By the end of that summer, out of all the first-year salesmen, I remember I was number 29 in the United States. That was one of the things that really did help me. Be aware of your physicality. Sometimes it's the best thing to do when you're in a meeting with a group of people and things get tense at the table. Just stand up. I can recall doing this as I ran my ad agency. I would sometimes just kind of stand up and maybe walk over and get a bottle of water or whatever. And instead of returning to the table, I would just literally sit down on the floor and lean back against the wall. And the interesting thing was this. Suddenly, everybody at the table was now taller than I was. I had lost my power, my control. And sometimes that was a wise way to sort of bring down the tension in the room. And lastly, number 7, inappropriate name calling and bad behavior never has a place. Referring to the other group of people as those people, or calling them liberals or legalists or whatever. They might be liberal, they might be legalist, but calling names almost never improves the situation. Listen, I'm Steve Viggs. This has been Insights. Great content at the speed of light. I'll see you next time.